And joining us now is British commentator and royal family expert Hilary Fordwich. Hilary, always appreciate your insight and time. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening, Natasha. Although you were playing that segment, almost brought tears to my eyes.
I know. It did me as well. I mean, has there been anything about the last few days that have really surprised you?
Actually, I will say, Natasha, to see that absolutely magnificent mosaic of mankind, I don't know if anybody anticipated to see such an outpouring of people. They're queuing, they're calling it now the Elizabeth line, for up to 30 hours, nearly 30 hours. Who would have thought? And leaders across the world, there are only a few nations where the head of state weren't invited. Belarus, Russia, Afghanistan, a couple other ones, and Myanmar. And in Syria, I would say that just to see the global outpouring, I don't think it was so much a surprise. I just think it's actually daunting. I don't know that ever in our lives again, any of us will ever see something quite like this. And perhaps there's never been anything like this before. We're actually also saying goodbye to the 20th century.
I completely agree. And, you know, there are all of these symbols, so much symbolism, right? And it is actually only now that I'm noticing the triple strand of pearls that you're wearing. You know, just tonight we were seeing Kate Middleton has been seen wearing pearls from both the Queen and also her late mother-in-law, of course, Lady Diana as well. How significant are these symbols? What message is trying to be sent here?
Well, actually, I'm going to mention something personal, which I haven't done in any of my coverage. These were my belated, beloved mummy's pearls, but that's because a generation of English ladies always wore these pearls everywhere. Actually, I don't really wear them much ever in America. You've never seen me wear them on any hit. Why? Because we really don't wear these sort of things so much anymore. But you're totally right, Natasha. You're seeing them come out from everywhere because that's what people are wearing. The Queen wore hers all the time, and there was a certain time in England when everybody wore them sort of most of the time, and people dressed a different way. One thing I've heard a lot of, not just people in England, I have American friends that have gone over to this. I have people from Holland that have gone, from people from across the world. So many people felt that they almost knew the Queen, even if they didn't, but they also related to a member of their family. It's a generational thing. You see, I feel that, like with my mommy and all of us that have relatives, many people have grandmothers. I mentioned that mosaic of mankind that's quite magnificent. Different generations, Natasha. People like to say, and the statistics show that under 40s, really, they're not so pro-monarchy. When you look at those lines, it's amazing to see how many people under 40, and they're pushing their prams, or in America, strollers, with their little children. When interviewed, they're saying, well, they want to be able to tell them, even some babies, I want to be able to tell them that they were there when they grow up. And then the under 40 generation also pushing their elderly parents and sometimes grandparents.
Yeah, and Hilary, I don't take it lightly, you sharing that personal connection and moment with us. Thank you. You know, sources have said that apparently Prince Harry was devastated to have his grandmother's initials removed from his military uniform. Do you think that this move, although in line with tradition, was appropriate in this moment where he is mourning the loss of his grandmother?
Well, Natasha, actually, first of all, who are these, in quotes, friends and these people saying this? Because no one, certainly from a distance, and the cameras really weren't close enough, very few people will have noticed the ERR off his, and for our audience, that's the epaulette, which is usually on his shoulder. I don't know that many people will have noticed. So we sort of know where this came from. Now, if Prince Harry is saying that he's so upset, he knows the rules. He didn't want to be part of the royal family. Remember in the interview with Oprah, he said that he felt trapped. He said that he no longer wanted to be a royal. The rules are, and this isn't to do with him, and it's somewhat, and I hate to use the word narcissistic because it sounds so mean. I covered his wedding. I covered it with him and with he and Meghan, and the world gave an outpouring of love to them. But the rules are, Natasha, he was an aide-de-camp of the Queen. He then wore them. He was then serving the Queen. He stepped away from his royal duties. He didn't want to do it anymore. Was an exception to be made to him for him to break the rules? Don't forget, no one in the military is allowed to even have a beard, Natasha. The Queen gave personal dispensation for him to wear his beard in uniform at his wedding. Again, I covered that wedding. I know that those rules were broken then. An exception was made. An exception was also made for him to be back in uniform for this royal funeral, even though he didn't want to any longer serve in the honorary role. So think of all those men, think of all the women and all the people that serve in the armed forces, not just across the UK, but across the world. So now Prince Harry can break the rules. I think it's actually very sad. And I think for everybody who is in all of those regiments where he was the honorary leader, and now that he's stepped down, doesn't want to do that anymore, but he wants to have the honor of wearing the ER, I think it's actually very, very, very sad.
Your point is well taken. And Hilary Fordwich, you are always such a font of information. I certainly appreciate your time, and thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.